So tell me a bit about Yeagers, because I understand that as a company, you've taken a different approach to setting up a traditional hedge fund.
Yeah, we actually, our primary objective at first was to start a hedge fund. So Yeagers is kind of a spin-off from the main company called Yeager Technologies, and for the first 2-3 years, we were just an R&D lab, kind of financial R&D, doing a lot of experiments, making new technologies, doing predictive systems. It's been awesome 3 years, honestly. And when we were very close to already starting a hedge fund, so we had a partner company, we figured out the costs, we realized that right now it's not the best overall business model to go into, like, period.
Okay.
Let me give you a little bit of kind of stats
Please.
about hedge funds and everything. All right, let's say in this day and age, you wanted to start a hedge fund. Cool. So would you guess what is the setup cost of a hedge fund? So that's the first time fee, so to speak.
Yeah, couldn't even begin to pull a number out. Yeah.
Yeah, we were quite surprised. So depending on the jurisdiction where you're making it, it could be as low as $50,000. More commonly, it's 150 to 200,000.
Right.
And on the higher end, it's like 300,000 to $500,000 for just the setup costs.
Okay.
So it's the first time payment. Usually you want to structure it in a way that you have two companies. One acts as a manager, another one acts as a fund. So fund is simply a basket of capital. That's where the LP's money go. That's where people, your clients go to.
Right.
And then the manager is kind of a hired entity that is managing the fund. That is a basket. All right. So what's like the biggest surprise for us was how much time and money is needed on yearly, or actually quarterly, compliance. And quarterly compliance, would you guess what's the quarterly compliance costs and the yearly compliance costs?
No idea.
It's around the same as starting a hedge fund.
Okay.
So it ranges from like 50, 100K to $500,000 to $1 million in compliance. And as far as work hours that you do need to invest in order to be compliant each quarter is roughly like 40 to 300 hours. So after talking to many people who are already running hedge funds, we realized that if I do this, I'm going to spend half of my goddamn time on compliance, which, to be honest, it's not worth it for me.
Yeah.
Definitely not worth it. Then there's a big illusion of like, oh, if you have good systems which are making money, just make a hedge fund and make unlimited money.
Sure.
Right? Yeah, not that goddamn simple. And again, this comes from the overall industry state today. So let me go back a little bit. The big push for tighter regulations and compliance started after 2008 crisis. Before that time, it was quite easy to set up a fund. Well, not super easy, but easier. After 2008, the regulations started being much more tight. So right now, if you wanted to start a hedge fund, you will be kind of bound to complying with these regulations. Because of that, the current and I think most popular hedge fund structure is what's called a multi-strategy hedge fund. And it's the big hedge funds who realized that for a little guy, who's really good at making alpha, it is goddamn difficult to start a fund, so this legal entity. So what they did, like those multi-strategy hedge fund is kind of a big fund, and they have smaller funds inside them. And what they do, they invite managers, so those guys who are really good at making alpha, really good at trading or making quant systems or AI systems, they simply manage the fund while the bigger fund is taking care of the compliance part.
Right.
So, then you don't have to worry about this stuff. You just focus on actually making good trades. I think that's a very smart strategy. There are many, many funds like that currently. So if you want your personal fund, it is extremely difficult. But you can always be a part of a multi-strategy hedge fund. And then again, you have further roadblocks. Let's say even you wanted to become a part of multi-strategy hedge fund. That means you need to have 3, 5, 6 years of proven track history on decent amount of capital. But how do you start it off if you don't even have this starting capital? And how do you legally process it? Even if somebody, with a couple $1 million wants to give you that money, it is very difficult to process this. It comes back to you need to set up a legal entity and then properly manage it. But besides that point, let's say you want to make a hedge fund and you're doing really well. And let's say you're above market performance. Market performance for hedge funds right now is like 9 to 12% annual. So let's say you're better at this and you're making 15%. Awesome. Great. Then you're hypothesizing that you're going to make like $1 million. That's what you want to make. So what is the size of the capital you need to trade in order to make yourself $1 million in profit? If you did the setup for around 50 to 100K, that means you need $23 million. Mm-hmm. If you're at a bit higher, right, your compliance costs are eating at your margin. So at higher compliance costs and setup costs, you're already at 27 million. And if you have set up for like $500,000 and your annual or quarterly compliance is like $500,000, then you need to be at $36 million.
And this is just break even, right? This is sort of not before you even get any further than.
This is if you want to make like $1 million in net profit, which I think that is what your hope is, right?
Right.
We just talked about, hey, just make an unlimited amount of money. Yeah. So that's the minimum amount of money you will need managing in order to make $1 million. So who in the right mind will give a starting hedge fund $36 million when they have 2 years of proven history? That is close to impossible nowadays.
Yeah.
That kind of spans, it's a common thing. They are called the LPs. The LP is the guy who is your client. He's giving you money to trade or to manage. So currently the smaller funds are all undersubscribed, meaning nobody wants them. No matter the performance, the bigger guys, they're worried about, what if I'm going to put an additional 10 million? Are their results going to deteriorate because it's bigger size? And the bigger funds are oversubscribed. So it's the ones who have 15 plus years of trading history. They're oversubscribed. So right now, to start a hedge fund and to get the LPs to invest in you is beyond difficult.